Right, lovely sunny day. The apple blossom is out, and I can see bees and stuff there pollinating the flowers, which is good. The other thing that's flowering is the rhubarb. You can see the flower stalks over there. I'll cut all those off in a minute. You can see there's a few others down there. I'm also going to harvest some rhubarb today, mainly because there's a lot of it. We'll freeze some, and some of the other stuff I'll turn into wine. As it turns out, you can freeze rhubarb. You just cut it up into chunks. You don't need to blanch it. You can just chuck it in the freezer. And we've been doing that all winter for rhubarb crumbles. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've been down here, and the spuds are starting to come up in places. So I'll earth all those up and get rid of some of the more persistent weeds. There's a dock there, I'll get rid of that. The other apple tree, all that white there, is where the blossom has dropped off it. And it's still got a fair bit on it, and I can see some bees on there. But it looks like, because we've had a lot of rain and like heavy rain and hail lately, the last few days, so it's probably knocked some of that off. Obviously there's some weeding to be done, and the shallots are starting to come up now, so I have to get on weed that. Onions over there, they're doing quite well. So today's jobs really are a bit of weeding, some maintenance work. See the broad beans there. I'll give those another weed and sort those out. And when I harvest the rhubarb, I'll take leaves from the front. As you can see, some of the broad beans are being shadowed by the leaves. We don't want that. This strip here, I said in the last video that I took from down here on the plot, is where we're putting beans in. They're all currently hardening off at home. I might do a video of that later. So I brought some canes with me. I've got some extra canes. So I'm going to start building bean frames along this piece of weed control fabric. And I'll leave it down until we're ready to put the beans out. I'm going to start weeding about in here as well. Especially around some of the parsnips. And I can see things like there's a poppy coming up, a field poppy. They come up quite a lot down here. They like to grow on disturbed earth. Obviously the weed control fabric's still here, but we've started all the squash plants off now, and they're starting to come up. And leeks here are doing okay. These were the smaller ones. And I've got some leeks here, some of which are starting to go to flower, but you can actually eat these. Leek Scapes. We had them last year. They're actually quite nice. Almost, I suppose, like asparagus, similar. So I'll pull some of the bigger ones up and we'll have them for Sunday dinner. Oh, there's a plant here. Some of you might get these on your plot as well. This is verbascum, or mullein or mullein. This is the woolly one. There's another one that doesn't have quite so fairy leaves. But this plant I will dig up and take home. It's great for mullein moths. They're really fantastic. They have a really sort of stripy caterpillar. They're quite cool. But I'll take this home because we've got a few of these in the garden. There's all sorts of things coming up in here. There's a potato there. You never seem to get them all. Right. What else is going on? Well, black currant is doing well. Can actually see some little currants starting to form on that. And the other ones that I moved, they're alright. They haven't suffered too badly. As I thought, one or two of them might have died. So I'll probably cut those back, but I'll leave them in the ground because they may well come back if there's a little bit of root left. The strawberries that I moved, I will need to do some weeding in and around here, but some of them have got flowers coming. Actually quite a few of them have, so we might get some good strawberries this year. We had a lot last year. So basically today bit of maintenance work on some of the plants, like the rhubarb and what have you, and weeding, and then prep work for when we are ready to plant out squash plants and stuff. It's been a bit strange here. The weather's not really been as warm as I would have liked, but you can see what a bit of sun and a bit of rain will do. This was our asparagus bed, and I don't think the asparagus has quite made it. There is one here, but what I'll probably do is just get in here with the shears and just cut it all back right down to the ground to stop it getting too much more overgrown. I'm not that concerned about the amount of sort of ryegrass and weeds and stuff that are up, because in about 2 or 3 weeks time, maybe 4 weeks depending on the weather, we'll be ready to move all the weed control and put the squash plants in, and when they go in, all this weed control fabric will go on the bits that are well, weedy. Right, due for some rain today, but that's the plan, so best get on with it then. Okay, so I've had a bit of a weed and earthed up the spuds. It looks like there's gaps in places, but there are actually leaves there. It's just where they weren't quite so tall. It was quite nice actually. Stood here because the sun's hit this apple tree, and the smell from the blossom is really, really nice. Anyway, so had a bit of a weed there. I've weeded around the onions there and there. And a bit of a weed around the shallots. And a job that I've been putting off, I suppose, is this. So basically what I've done here is I've weeded around now, as best I can anyway, all the parsnip plants that had come up. And you can see there's quite a few. Some of them are quite large now, so hopefully now they've got sort of less competition from the weeds. Missed a few there, look. Yeah, so now they've got less competition from the weeds. Hopefully they can grow a bit bigger. Obviously they haven't grown all over that patch, so just there I've put in some brassicas that we'd grown. I can't tell you exactly what they are. I think they're turnips, they might possibly be Swedes. The reason being is because we saved the seed from them last year and I forgot to write on the packet exactly what they were. Anyway, so my next job, I've had a bit of a weed round here as well, and round where the strawberries are up there. The next job is to put the beans in. So I'm just going to build frames along this strip. I'm going to start off first really with the higher frames for the Belotti beans because they are a much taller plant. The dwarf beans I'll probably do at another time. It'll be a few days before we can plant them out anyway because of the weather, so we're hardening them off, so you can get on, put up some bean frames, and then it will be dealing with the flowers on the rhubarb and harvesting some, then I'll be done. Right, bean frames then, and I'm just using normal bamboo garden canes, but you can use all sorts of sticks. If you've got hazel, they're perfect, nice and straight and tall, but I find bamboo canes are fine, so I'm going to start on that now. Okay, so that's me done for the day. I've had a bit of a weed around in various places, in amongst the leeks, the black currants. I've had a bit of a weed around the strawberries, some of which are starting to flower, so that's good. The radishes and that I put in, well, they are there, but I think they might have been munched by something. But it's kind of helped me out because it means I don't need to worry about thinning them out. Had another bit of a weed here. There we go. There's the parsnip bed, looking a little bit more respectable. More parsnips there than I thought. Shallots starting to come up, which is good. And obviously I've got my bean frames in, so the bigger one will be for the bologna beans, and this smaller one that I've made here, it's just 4 poles really, will be for our snake beans. I've also had a bit of a weed where the broad beans are and cleared a lot of the rhubarb from the front of it. I've got quite a lot of rhubarb to take home, which we'll be doing various things with, and by the looks of it, there's still quite a lot that I could harvest, but I'm not going to just yet. I'll let it settle down. I don't want to stress it out, but this year has been really good for rhubarb. I think we've probably had a lot more off it this year than we did this time last year. And if you look in sort of down into some of the plants, you can see there's still loads of rhubarb in there that I can harvest, which is easy enough to do. Alright, so things are progressing at pace. Earthed up the spuds, like I said, and that's about it really. So now it's just a case of waiting for the stuff that we've got hardening enough to be ready for going out, and the stuff in the greenhouse to grow, so like all our squashes and stuff, and then we can start getting that done. Alright, that's me. Off home for a cup of tea. Alright, thanks for watching.